Here with Austie Rollinson, and here to talk about Stroke Lab and great putters at Odyssey. Some amazing technology that I'm really excited to talk about. Give me the history on this. How did you find out, hey, this is something we really need to look at, something we truly need to do different than obviously what you did different?
Well, we've been working on it for many years. And I mean, if you want to go back to where the idea came from, we had some of our fitters wanted to look at doing like really flexible shafts in a putter. And so they got some iron shafts in that were flexible, but they were also really, really super light. So some of the lightweight shafts that True Temper has done. And so I said, that'd be kind of cool to do with a putter, to take a lightweight iron shaft and then like our tank putters kind of put weight in different areas. So put more in the head and counterbalance it. And it felt really good. It was solid how you stroke the ball. And so that developed into a product for Japan about three years ago, where it was a steel shaft, lightweight steel shaft. I think it was about 90 grams, 100 grams, which is about 10, 20 grams lighter than a standard putter shaft. We put some weight in the butt, weight in the head, and we got some good results. But the flex was still a little soft. It didn't move enough weight. And the shaft, in order to kind of keep stiffness and keep it light, as you know, it had to get bigger. And a lot of, especially tour players, didn't like how it was oversized. And so that got me thinking, well, there's no way you can get there in steel, because in order to get it stiffer and lighter, it's got to get bigger. And I don't want to do that, because that's tough to look down at. And so graphite was the next option to look at. So we started looking at graphite shafts, and I've worked with graphite shafts in the past, where you've had to do a double bend in a graphite shaft, and it is a pain in the neck. It's expensive. You got to use a mold to do it rather than conventional ways. And so doing a steel tip in graphite is the best of both worlds. And so marrying them together, that's kind of where it kind of came from.
And definitely different than the tank putters you had. So just talk a little bit about how that has changed and evolved into something that's new and improved and different than everything else in the industry. Because everybody could slap some more weight in the head, and that's the exact opposite of what you guys are doing from a holistic standpoint.
Right, we wanted to take you're exactly right, a holistic look at the whole club. And tank, when the belly putters were banned, we decided, well, how can we stabilize it? So hey, let's increase the weight of the whole thing. So the shaft weight got heavier. We put 50 grams of counterbalance in it. We added sometimes 50, 60 grams to the head. So the whole thing was heavy. And we found that for those who had a little jittery stroke up short, it really steadied them. Longer putts, it was a little tougher to control. And so we wanted to say, how can we get that stability? And then how can we make it so on longer putts, it's a little easier to control? And so all these things are kind of coming together. And the other thing we looked at that kind of gave birth to this as well is you look at head weights and how they've increased over the years. Like when I started doing putters in 92, 93, I think our Tuttle putters back then were 305 grams, and now they're 360 grams. So, but shafts haven't changed, grips haven't changed, and so everything has gotten so head heavy. And that's mainly because of agronomy, so green speeds have gotten faster. But also the strokes have gotten simpler. It's not as handsy, and the oversized grips came into vogue. But I think the whole idea of trying to get the putter into a better balance, and I've always used a lightweight putter, and Roger Cleveland I've worked with for years have always liked a lighter putter, and they're just easier to control. And you look at all the great putters out through the years, Faxon and Crenshaw, they all use light putters. And so we want to get something not back to like the D3, D4 range, but something that's a little more controllable than in the F range. And so that was the other reason of kind of going to this, the composite shaft, is that we can control the balance because we've taken so much weight out of the shaft, 40 grams out of the shaft, and put a little in the head, but a lot in the counterbalance. So the overall weight is something people are used for. You're still at 550 grams. You're not getting down to 500, 480, like where they kind of were back in the 90s. So it's still got a good heft, but the balance is a lot more controllable. And then composite also, you could add some stiffness. So with a heavy head, the flex of them has gotten softer because of that. So we added about 2 flexes to the shaft as well. So a lot of things, the composite freed us up to do a lot of different things with the balance and the flex and the design.
Yeah, getting that flex right, but maintaining the torsional stability is so critical, obviously. Switching gears just a little bit, it's Odyssey. We got to talk about the face technology.
Okay.
Tell me what's going on there. Tell me what's new, how it's been improved, and how that factors into sound. I don't think maybe that's something a lot of the forum members might recognize is how you can tune sound based on materials and things like that to make the tour players happy, to make forum members happy, and everywhere in between.
Well, and I think sound and feel in an insert is something that we struggle with, because you want to come out with one insert to fit everybody, but a lot of times one insert doesn't fit everybody. So when we did the first micro hinge insert, where we had the metal hinges working with the ball to put a better roll on it, the material we used in that insert was on the softer side because we wanted some good resiliency to it. And we found that a lot of consumers like a soft feel. On the other hand, we have a lot of players, especially our tour players, that love the feel of white hot, which is a little firmer. It's got a little snap to it. And we had a lot that converted to the micro hinge, but some thought it was a little too quiet. And so when we did the next insert, we wanted to do some things to make it louder, as well as maintain the spin and get back to that white hot feel and white hot sound. So the white hot micro hinge, we changed the materials, the same family of materials. We just increased the durometer of it to get it a little firmer. The other thing we did is, you look at the geometry of the face. The original micro hinge had the hinges on these little nubs. And so there was space in between them going across the face. There's a little recess, and then from top to bottom, there's like grooves and then spaces in between. So we got rid of the spaces in between. We widened the hinge about 3 times as wide, just to get a little more metal contact, get rid of some of the recesses in the face, because that'll suck up sound pretty easily. So getting more surface area for the ball to hit, getting it a little firmer. But when we change the firmer material, what happens is that if you go use the same, and we're using like the 303 grade stainless in those hinges, they didn't work as well. And so we had to go back and look at the metal hinges. So we went from a 303 to a 17.4 to get a little more flexibility, a little more faster reaction time to the metal, to match up better with that material. And we got right back to where we were with our top spin by changing those things. So there's a lot of work that kind of went into not just getting the sound right, but then how do we, in trying to chase sound, you lose other properties. And so you gotta look at the materials and get smart guys together to say, how can we get this reacting the way we want it to react? I think we did a good job, I think.
Well, Austin, I know you are one of those smart guys. Amazing stuff from Odyssey. Great putters, great technology, and thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Mike.